In today's video, traders, we are going to be talking about the euro currency pairs. Currently, there's a lot of stuff going on with the euro, and I wanted to take a time to dedicate a video to watching the euro, and I'm going to give you guys my prediction, or at least what I think will happen to the euro in the next several weeks. Now, everything that I say in this video, of course, is just my own personal opinion and my own analysis. I'm not advising you to do anything with your money. I'm just telling you my own personal opinion. So we're taking a look here at the euro, and it's not really much of a hidden fact. The euro has been very, very bullish recently. We've seen a major move to the upside here from the lows all the way to the high. We had a move on Euro USD of 578 pips. Now, on some other currency pairs, that might not be considered that insane, but on Euro USD, which is a relatively lower volatility currency pair, this is actually a really impressive move to see something like 578 pips to the upside in just a matter of 12 bars or 18 days or so here in the currency market. Quite the rally here on Euro USD. And today, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking about my opinion of the euro and whether or not I think that this rally is sustainable or something that I think will kind of diminish and return and kind of pull back here, and we might see sellers step in. So I'm going to get into some of that analysis, and we'll get into it right now. How's it going, traders? Welcome back to another video. Do me a favor, if you like these videos, give this video a thumbs up down below. I'll make sure to do more of them if people are enjoying this sort of breakdown on a particular currency pair. It does take us time, effort, and money to make these videos. So if you would, if you're enjoying the free content, subscribe to the channel for more. So Euro USD here on the daily chart. Again, as we were mentioning, really strong rally here to the upside, upwards of 550 pips in just a matter of about 2 weeks here. So at the time of making this video, it is a Saturday, and so the market is not open yet, and I'm just kind of speculating or giving my opinion here on the euro. So again, a really nice rally for the euro. But what do I think? Do I think this is a sustainable run, or do I think that it's going to kind of fall apart? Now, when we're talking about the euro, I wanted specifically to talk about the euro USD. Now, the reason is because this is the two really big currencies of the world, right? The euro and the dollar. Of course, you have the yen and the pound, but the euro and the dollar are very big currencies. And so these two going head to head is why this is going to be our most heavily traded financial instrument in the entire world. We will take a look at some other euro pairs, so stay tuned with me. But what I want to talk about is I'm going to get into some of the fundamentals first on this particular move, and then I'm going to talk about some of the technicals and give you guys my own trade idea here. So stay tuned, stick around with me. So let's talk about the fundamentals. Recently, we've had some serious kind of scary stuff going on in the markets, right? US equities dropping major, down 15 or so % plus. On the stock market, we saw some really big sell-offs this week, and we're seeing some real kind of fear hit the headlines due to some of the kind of global news that is going on, right? So with that, it makes sense that the euro is flying. Well, why does that make sense, Nick? Let's talk about it. The reason the euro is actually rising is because people are moving from risk-on instruments to risk-off. So we have people who are moving money from risk on things into risk off. So I just mentioned that the stock market sold off quite a bit. In fact, what we could do here is just for a moment, we can take a look at the SPX 500. This is the S&P 500, if I could type it correctly. You can see serious sell-off here from the highs of something around the vicinity of 15% during this week. Really sharp sell-off. So if we take a look back at the Euro USD, you can see the inverse is happening. We're seeing a very strong rally. Again, we have people moving. We'll put R on, and we have R off, okay? So people are moving their money from things that have a lot of risk, such as the stock market. You know, individual stocks carry some sort of risk to them, right? So they're considered a higher risk investment. Well, people are pushing their money, they're taking their money out of risk on things and putting them into a risk-off asset. Now, a lot of times you guys may or may not know that the euro actually has very low interest rates. What does that mean? Well, it makes it easier for investors, business owners, home builders, whatever, people to take loans and basically sell the euro to buy stocks to buy investments or to take out loans, right? People are moving their money. And so what do? Well, they borrow or sell the euro in order to buy these underlying things, right? So what does that cost? Well, in that case, what we see is actually the opposite. They're taking money from risk off assets such as the euro or the yen or the Swiss franc, and they are moving it into risk on investments. In fact, even some financial banks and institutions have been doing this, right? Taking money from those lower interest rate areas and putting it into those riskier assets such as stocks. So that is kind of what we are seeing fundamentally happen. We see this really big rise on euro pairs as people are actually reversing that process. So what are they doing? They're taking their money out of those stocks and out of those riskier investments and putting it back into the euro and the Swiss franc and the yen and other things like that that are considered risk off places to pour your money. Treasury bonds, other things like that, you could consider a risk-off investment. Now, there's risk to every investment, as you guys may or may not know, but in the euro's case, this is causing a very sharp rise across the board on euro pairs. Now we get into a little bit more of what I'm sure a lot of you guys want to see, which is let's talk a little bit about the technicals and let's talk about my actual bias on euro pairs. So mostly, I think personally, again, this is just my opinion, I think that the euro's rally here is not sustainable. I think that it's possible that we see a pullback here on the euro somewhere along the way. Why do I think that? Well, I think that the stuff that is in the headlines, I can't talk about it because YouTube will demonetize me if I use the words, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. We have big headline stuff that is scaring the people around the world. So we have that sort of stuff going on. Well, I think that we've seen those sorts of things happen many, many times in markets. And what usually happens is it causes a small divot or a small pullback in an overwhelmingly upward market, which we have right now, right? We see a lot of sell-offs, but I think that a lot of times these sorts of events that we do see happening right now are merely kind of bumps in the road. Now, again, I am fully aware that I could be wrong about this, and this could be a bigger deal than I expected or kind of than what I think it will be. But my opinion remains that I think that what is going on and the slowdown that is going on is not necessarily a catastrophic end to, the world as we know it, right? I think that this move combined with the very, very, very kind of unstable situation in the European Union, right? With the euro, we have a lot of issues there, especially against the US dollar, which the Fed has been working hard. They're doing quite a bit of things to support the US equity market, the US dollar, right? So we're fighting a very uphill battle, in my opinion, if you're looking to be overwhelmingly bullish on the euro. Now, again, as I mentioned, I can be completely wrong about this. And if I'm wrong, it doesn't mean I'm the worst trader in the world. Definitely doesn't make me the best, right? And I wouldn't claim to be because there's always more that you can learn. But my opinion here is I think that the rally here is not something that is extremely sustainable. You take a look at the long-term trend here on Euro USD on the daily chart. What do you notice? Well, we've got this very strong downward trend. You can even back it up to the weekly and you can see the Fed has been pushing the US dollar higher very, very well, right? We've seen a strong dollar. We've seen a very weak euro. And so this rally here, I think, is still going against the dominant energy of this market. So with that said, where's the trade in all of this? We've talked about the whys, we've talked about my general bias. What's my opinion of some decent trades on the euro? Now, again, my focus here is going to be looking for short setups. I already have some shorts on. You can see towards the end of Friday, if we drop it down momentarily to the 4-hour chart, you can see that we did get a little bit of a sell-off towards the end of Friday's trading, right? I think it's possible we see a little bit bigger of a pullback here, maybe not immediately, but I think that somewhere up in these areas, we actually have some potential for some higher probability trade setups, especially if you back up and take a look here where we have some resistance point that price is kind of coming into confluence with right now. You can see, actually, you could argue that we technically came pretty close on Friday's price action. Now, if we do come up into this area, again, I've got some shorts already, but I may be interested in picking up some more shorts if price can reach up into this area. What area is this exactly? Well, roughly, I'm talking the 1.1400 area. Okay, why is this significant? Well, we could take a look historically at the Euro USD and see that back here, we had some very, very sharp rejection points. Typically, when I'm looking for support or resistance, I'm looking for levels that come up to a level, tag it, and immediately find some sort of pushback, right? We saw that a couple times in this area. And so if price can make its way up to that point, I think that that component combined with a very, very overbought or pushed up market, I think it's possible to get a pretty good chance for a reversal there, especially if you do two things. Well, one thing, let me add the, take off this 10 period moving average. We'll put on the RSI, relative strength index here. You can see that even on the 14-day period, we haven't reached overbought on the euro in quite a long time. This is the first time in quite a long time that the RSI 14 period on the daily chart, right? We're taking a look at the daily 14 period RSI. This is the first time since 2018 that we've seen an overbought status. Well, what happened last time? Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that previously this was a pretty good indication that markets were stretched quite high, and it actually started one of the biggest downtrends that we've seen in quite a while on Euro USD. So again, we're finally printing another scenario now. Fast forward to the current day. Look at that. We've got an overbought reading on the RSI 14 period. Now, by no means is the RSI a perfect indicator. And I know that even, a lot of my viewers will see the RSI on my screen and they'll cringe saying that, this is useless. You should never use indicators, right? But purely from a matter of, okay, the overall market here has to have been stretched quite a bit in order to print this kind of RSI reading, right? So with that said, that just adds on another confluence or another factor to why I'm interested in potentially grabbing at some short setups. Now, one more thing that I want to talk about, how could you improve your accuracy or wait for a better setup? There's a couple things that you could do. So if you decide to short this market, maybe, and this is again, just my opinion, I'm not telling you what you should do, you could look for a couple different things, okay? My personal opinion in terms of targets for a Euro USD pullback might be something like a pushback to this level here. Now, if we get our fibs out and we draw this level, let's assume, I know I could be wrong about this, but let's assume that this was the high on Euro USD, right? If this was in fact the high, and price starts to fall, I think it's possible that we see a move back to the 61.8% retracement. That would be in line with some recent levels of support right here, right, which ultimately broke through and found price kind of fall as seller stepped in, right? So as price starts to rally here and we get extended to the upside, I think it's possible that this might be a decent trade idea, looking for that push back down to the 61.8% retracement. There is kind of an argument here for where you could put stops, right? If you're using stops on this trade, you could put stops somewhere above this structure would be my preference. Looking for, maybe something like a 2-to-1 might be a decent idea. So you could give it a little bit more breathing room. There is a lot of volatility around this. So it's possible that we also see, spikes to the upside as well with all of the chaos and all the volatility in the markets, right? So with that said, that's kind of my general idea about the Euro USD. I know it's in depth and I know we went from fundamental to technical. We talked about all the price action. Do me a big favor, guys. If you liked this video, if you want me to do more in-depth breakdowns like this, then what you should do to help me out or to let me know that you want to see more of this is like the video down below. It does show myself and the staff behind the scenes that are helping to make these videos that you guys want to see more of this sort of content. So guys, thank you very much for watching. I do hope that you'll subscribe if you are not already, and we'll see you guys back next time.